Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Alexia Washington. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Portsmouth Police Department. I want to first thank you all for joining this evening for the Quarterly Chiefs Forum. But before we get started, I want to take this time, or we'd like to take this time to honor one of our exceptional police officers. We want to honor Officer James Fuller. If you can come up here for a moment, sir. Recently, Officer Fuller was awarded the Top Cop Award from Crime Line. And so at the 25th annual Greater Hampton Roads ceremony, he was honored with an award. And I want to take this time just to read and tell you a little bit about one of our exceptional officers. Officer James Fuller of the Portsmouth Police Department, he exemplifies the highest standards of law enforcement through his professionalism, courage, and unwavering commitment to public safety. His conduct during a series of high-risk incidents highlights his dedication to proactive policing and the protection of the community. On August 7th, 2024, Officer Fuller responded to a domestic assault, including a juvenile victim. Although the crime was concerned outside of his jurisdiction, he took initiative to coordinate directly with the appropriate agency, overcoming initial resistance to ensure the offender was held accountable. He secured the victim an emergency protective order and remained engaged with the case beyond his shift, prioritizing the child's safety above all else. On February the 2nd of 2025, during a traffic enforcement incident near Piedmont Avenue and Palmer Street, Officer Fuller conducted a stop on a vehicle with fictitious tags. The driver ran away, but Officer Fuller quickly apprehended him without injury. The search yielded a firearm, 13.5 grams of suspected cocaine, 109 capsules of suspected fentanyl, 13 baggies of suspected heroin, and $310 in cash. The suspect, Juan Bell, a convicted felon with a history of drug offenses, was charged with multiple felonies. This single stop removed a dangerous individual from the streets and prevented a large quantity of deadly narcotics from circulating in the community. Then on June 12th, 2025, that's this year, Officer Fuller responded to a dispute on Territon Lane, where a woman sat in her vehicle with a visible firearm. As he approached, she brandished the weapon and yelled, "Shoot me." Rather than escalate, Officer Fuller maintained a calm and compassionate presence. Through steady communication and de-escalation tactics, he persuaded the suspect to surrender peacefully, preventing a potentially fatal outcome. These incidents, though all very difficult and different in nature, reflect Officer Fuller's courage, his empathy, and exceptional judgment. His ability to blend proactive enforcement with restraint and compassion makes him an extraordinary asset to the Portsmouth Police Department and the citizens that he serves. So we just would like to thank you, and we just give Officer Fuller a round of applause. Thank you, sir, for your service.
Congratulations to Officer Fuller for his exceptional work. Thanks to Ms. Washington for doing that. That was impromptu, last minute, and so always like to have the ability to pivot on the fly. So again, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Chiefs Quarterly Forum, the third quarter forum for 2025. As always, we will provide an overview of our crime stats along with initiatives and take questions and answers at the end. So bottom line up front for us, if you don't get anything out of this presentation, overall for our city, our crime is down by 17% year to date, and that goes to September, from January 1st, 2025 until September 30th, 2025, and these are those numbers. Now, primarily for the third quarter, our shoplifting and theft drove a 21% increase during that quarter, which prompted us to shift operations. And then we're also going to discuss some quality of life wins that we've experienced as it relates to illegal dumping and our downtown camera initiative. So let's look specifically. As we talked about our violent property crimes and violent crimes being down, and I wanted to make sure we highlighted that. We also wanted to talk about these individual stats that primarily drove or are driving some of our numbers. As you can see, during the third quarter, crimes like burglary and rape, larceny of motor vehicle parts, motor vehicle theft, brandishing are all crimes that we've dealt with stubbornly over the last quarter. In particular, in our districts 1 and 2, primarily where those offenses are occurring. As we go through this, we'll deal with some of the mapping to kind of hopefully show you where some of these things are. So if you pay attention to the map on your far left, you'll see that in the quarter time frame compared to 2024, you'll see a huge concentration of crime cluster right in that little area right there. When you compare that to the 2025 cluster, you'll see that there has been a shift in the crime, basically a changing of neighborhoods per se, as it relates to property crime. When we look at 2025 overall, over the last couple of months, you will see that in 2025, we've had in July 286 incidents, in August 272 incidents, and in September 251 incidents, all significantly down from our previous, but again, still driving our numbers overall. As it relates to violent crime, and again, unfortunately, violent crime is the one that gets the most publicity. You'll see that we've had lots of shift in our mapping as it relates to the shrinking of our violent crime in particular areas. You can also see in our areas, the upper part of the green area, which is our Churchland area, you'll see that there were some small heated clusters in 2024. Those clusters have since kind of diminished, although we continue to address specific issues in those areas related to shooting incidents and things of that nature. When we go to our 221 zone, 222 zone, which would encompass areas of Mount Herman, London Oaks, Mount Vernon Avenue, in that area, you'll see that there's been a shift in those areas in between the 221, 222 zone, and also our zone as it relates to 212, which borders the area of IC Norcom and West Parkview. You'll see that those there is some shift in the way that the crime is being recorded and reported in that particular area. All positive for us, but again, we continue to focus on that. When we look at our specific incident numbers, you'll see that in 2025, July, we reported 49 incidents, August 52, and September 49. Each one a slight decrease compared to the previous, except for September, where there was an increase of 52 compared to the year prior. So total property crime and violent crime for that the third period, you'll see the shift in the way that crime moves throughout the city. What's important to remember is, unfortunately, as we start to see crimes through our data, we often make plans to shift our responses to those crimes and things of that nature. So you'll see that our crime actually moves in spots. So again, the fact that our crime is down, trending down, is good, but we still have some very stubborn numbers that we're having a hard time addressing. Again, year to date, total crime for the city is down 17%. So again, our incidence of reporting is down and our crime overall is down. So one of the things I wanted to highlight, because oftentimes when as I stand here and provide these numbers to you, sometimes people, I think they have a thought that somehow we just take these numbers from somewhere out of the sky and manipulate them in whichever way we choose to. So what was interesting is from the Attorney General's office, we are one of the 13 selected ceasefire cities in the state. And on the 15th of this month, the AG through the VCU, they released this initial report from all of the ceasefire cities. So if you would like a copy of the report or like to review the report, there is a QR code that is there for you to download the report for yourself, for you to be able to review. If you type in Virginia ceasefire report, you can pull it up there as well, but I wanted to make sure that I included that. Put this slide up here in particular because I wanted to talk about something in particular that was included in the report. If you note that there were two questions asked in this particular slide. How would you describe crime in your area? And 27% said that they perceived that crime was moderate or a moderate problem, minor problem. And then 20% said it was a serious problem. Now, again, we're talking a survey based on the 13 ceasefire cities. When you ask the next question, how has crime in your area changed compared to 1 year ago, you'll notice a significant change in the reporting. And so why I highlight this is because while we continue to report trending numbers in the downward, but overwhelmingly across the state, the conversation continues to be the perception of crime is going up, the perception of violence is going up. And so this is one of the things that this report highlights. Now, as we move forward, what's included in this report, there's some summaries that are very important for us to highlight. So between 2023 to 2024, we recorded an 8% reduction in crime. And this is specifically related to Portsmouth. This is not I think the overall report is somewhere 33% for violent crime. Now, one of the things I want to highlight to you all is when you look at the household burden, of crime to individual households, in Portsmouth, violent crime, and we're talking 90% of our violent crime or homicides is what we're talking about, what drives our outside savings, okay? So each homicide impacts the housing of about $10,518 compared to the average of rest of Virginia of $1,800. Now again, not my numbers, this is a report out of VCU that I would encourage you all to look at, which is very impactful out of our peers, and we rank third behind Richmond, Norfolk. The impact of violent crime to the city of Portsmouth per year, $417 million. Now, when I first looked at that, I said, how would you compute that? How would you drive that number? The way that they put that number together was based on the fact of when you have a death, you have the response from the officers, the investigators, you have the response to the individual going to the medical examiner's office, potentially the hospital, you have the prosecution of the case, you have the incarceration of the individual, you also have the lost wages of the death of that person that potentially would have contributed to the city's revenue. You have the loss of that individual who is incarcerated, and then you have the impact of the loss of businesses and reputation from each one. So that's how they come across that particular number. When you look at $417 million, that is a monumental impact that violence and homicides have on our city. So what's important is obviously there was an investment made into the city of Portsmouth. It's been well documented. And part of that has said that a 1% investment, which means one life that is saved, represents a $4 million reduction in savings to the city. So again, this is kind of what we've been talking about over the last several months. Not only investing in infrastructure for security, but also investing in some of our youth groups, some of our nonprofits, but also creating programs that will benefit our young people to be able to give them a better opportunity to be successful. And again, the data kind of shows that. And so in the end, it says prioritizing reductions in shootings and homicides will help for us to have a maximum return to help bring down that $417 million. So again, from the report, if you pay attention to the crime cluster itself, and again, you'll notice that from their report that the violent crime hotspots in our city in 2023 are heavily concentrated along the I-264 corridor, and they stretch between Douglas Park, Swimming Point, and Starry Cove and Stanley Court. When you compare that, you'll see some slight reductions, in particular in this particular area. In this particular area here, when you compare it to over there, you'll see how the crime is kind of starting to dissipate in that particular area, along with some movement in that area as well. So again, as we look at how we attack this, even if you just look at this as an overlay of a police response, you also have to look at how other entities within the city attack this as well. We're talking about code enforcement. We're talking about health department. We're talking about having programs that have the ability to go into these areas and deter additional acts of violence. And so as we continue to investigate how we look at crime and how we address it, because crime is a very complex situation, as we look at it, this is just a starting point of how we are using data to tell the story. I can stand up here and tell you my opinion, but this is factual data supported by numbers. So from the report, additionally, this was part of just their initial suggestion, and you'll notice it's highlighted non-law enforcement. So things that we continue to do is, again, focus on places that are causing issues for us. So again, what that looks like is we know we have problem locations throughout the city. Some of those locations are better dealt with, whether it be by zoning, code inspections, or a conglomerate effect where multiple agencies go in and try to address it in order to either bring them into compliance or address that other outside behavior. Additional lighting, blight removal, vacant lot remediation, and CPTED, crime prevention by design, where we actually go in and issue micro grants and things of that nature. A hospital violence intervention program, one of the things that we do not have currently in the city, but we are working with our partner right now to try to get that up and running. But again, as you think about what that looks like, we often have individuals that go into the hospital, some of which are seen on multiple occasions, and we don't think this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We don't often think about domestic violence. I can tell you we lost a young lady earlier this month to domestic violence. And so violence is violence, whether it involves a handgun or whether it's something that we deal with on a more frequent nature. But again, a hospital violence intervention program would be able to offer additional services and follow-ups for situations of that nature. Anti-gang messaging. Messaging like if a person is going to watch a video oftentimes that has a lot of trolling or something of that nature that sometimes our young folks follow during the course of before or while watching that video, they'll be forced to watch something that has anti-violent, gang violent messaging in it. City of Richmond has been started that last year and has had some success with it. And then continuing along with our youth prevention programs. Seasonal jobs, we did that earlier part of the year in conjunction with Portsmouth United, the Sheriff's Office, to be able to work on some of those areas. Our nonprofits put together quite a bit of robust activities for our youth during this past summer and through spring break, and we continue to try to look for opportunities to engage with them. So again, all of these investments are non-law enforcement related, but there's so many other things that we can look at to be able to help us move forward. So we'll move into some of our other initiatives that we're talking about as we look at, if you remember some of the earlier slides when we talked about some of the challenges that we were having. Motor vehicle theft. Obviously, we are using our license plate readers, which have been very helpful with us being able to address that. And I'm just going to talk about license plate readers for a minute because I think this is appropriate time. I know that there is concern, continues to be concern about the use of license plate readers throughout the state, throughout the region. What I can tell you is that for the city of Portsmouth, license plate readers have been a game changer for us as it relates to our ability to be able to close cases faster and give us leads. In addition to that, one of the things I want to highlight, because I don't think people quite think about this when it comes to license plate readers. When we have an individual that goes missing, oftentimes if you consider a person that suffering from Alzheimer's or something of that nature, sometimes they get into vehicles and they drive away. Well, I can tell you, in particular, we had one of our state delegates here recently. His father went missing. We were able, Chesapeake was able to use those license plate readers to track where he was last seen and get officers into that area to be able to find him. These are the things that we utilize it for. What I can also tell you is Virginia has one of the most restrictive license plate reader policies in the country. And so these are things that, in conjunction with the Virginia Chiefs of Police, our legislators, that we've all kind of worked to kind of craft some of these things. So I just want to kind of put that out there because, again, this comes up, legislative session is coming back up. You're going to hear these conversations, but you should be aware of these things that to make sure that the tools that are necessary to make our communities safe don't get somehow get diminished. We've worked very closely with Virginia State Police over the last couple of months. We've done a couple of bait car situations, and you asked, Chief, why do you put that out there? I want you to know that we're actively trying to catch you if you're stealing cars. And again, stolen cars was one of those things that we continue to deal with on the resurgence. And then, again, focusing on known prolific offenders. Less than 1% of those individuals that live in our city are the individuals that are causing most of the havoc within our city. So we're talking about a city of 97,000 individuals. We're talking about less than 1,000 people are responsible for the vast majority of incidents that are happening here. So it's very important for us to be strategic in how we look at that. Zero tolerance policing alienates the community. Going into a community and saying we're going to stop every car, we're going to stop every person. We have to be smarter, and we are smarter in law enforcement. We know at this point, we want to know who are the people out in this particular area that are causing the most issues, and then we want to work with our partners to either offer assistance or arrest them. It's really just that simple. We're either going to get you the help that you need, or we're going to take you off the street. And so we've been very strategic about how we work with that. So a couple of projects that we are working on right now is we're working on a project with our Old Town Business District and the new Link area to put 22 cameras in that particular area. Obviously, and these are not the cameras like out front. All right, don't want to put those big ugly cameras out, but these are cameras that will be posted on poles, so that will feed back to the real-time crime center. And again, not only is it there for deterrence, but it's also there for when we have incidents happen, whether it be criminal issues. But think in terms of this. We were able to utilize the current cameras that we do have during our most recent storm as an emergency management tool. Think in terms if we have a hurricane and it's too bad for us to be able to get personnel out, those cameras, if they're still powered and they are cellular powered, most of them will be able to still be functional so that we can see individuals of what's going on within the city. This is a map of where those cameras are going to be deployed in our area. You'll see that they extend around several parts of the area, but the main part is up High Street all the way to Elm Avenue, and then down the County Street corridor. Also our area near the interstate, they will come back around to Crawford and then over to the New Crawford Bay area. So again, strategically placed to kind of give us in every other block. So we'll have a good amount of coverage in that particular area. All right, legal dumping. This has been a topic that's been coming up quite a bit. So these are actual footage or pictures, some of your neighbors, some of contractors. This particular area is out in Brand New Square in Churchland. And so that we have a camera, just like the one that's out front, that has the big blue light on it, with the big solar panels on it, that when you walk on it, it says, "Stand back, police." And yet and still, what you see is our citizens and contractors getting out of their car and then walking up, dumping over and over and over again. I think right now we're probably close to about 50 or 60 individuals that we've identified. We've already began prosecuting several of those folks based on our ability to be able to identify them. You can see that these are very clear pictures, very hard to deny who you are or that you are actually dumping something. The goal here is this, simply. There are appropriate places for you to be able to dump your trash, not on the side of the road or anything of that nature. The city, you're able to go to the city dump at least 12 times a year. You're able to call and request for for us to send a truck out to pick up debris. But again, we're also having some conversation as to see if there are some additional things that we can do as a city. But this is not it. This right here, just the blight, just the trash, is what contributes to the way people look and think about the city. And this is why this is part of my conversation, because as we work to try to change the image of the city, we cannot tolerate that. So I just want to make sure that folks are aware. Soon we're going to start posting folks' stuff on, make some highlight reels of what we've done for the month. Maybe we'll get some compliance that way. But in the end, we want this behavior to stop. So, of course, we're just going over this some more. Obviously, we're working on continuing to build community trust and improve quality of life within the city. And again, working in conjunction with code enforcement and our public works. We have several of these throughout the city where people have made dumping spots. And, again, we're going to continue to push for that. So our partnership expansion based on our prevention intervention programs, a couple of things that we're in the final stages of our consultation with some experts to support our crime commission. Hopefully we'll have that in place. The goal is to provide them with the necessary tools, training that they can be able to not only hopefully work with counsel to provide some good, solid recommendations for not only counsel but for us as it relates to crime prevention initiatives and other approaches that we can possibly look into. Obviously, we continue to move along with our Portsmouth United initiative. I can say that our community partners are working, and one of the good things that is happening with that is, we get a lot of little naysayers that are out there, and it's easier to sit back and have comments about things when you're not involved or engaged. If you come out to some of these programs that folks have for our young folks, or if you come out and look at the opportunities that they're creating, whether it be jobs programs, reading programs, that right now they're saying that we have kids that are not even reading on a third grade level, but yet we have programs that are working to try to change that. And these are the same kids that they're not these folks' kids. They're taking the time to be able to do those things. Mr. Copeland there is one of our folks from Purpose Driven. Recently just had through Portsmouth United is putting together a full court basketball court, giving our folks one more place to be able to go and play an AAU league within the city. Again, something to be proud of, but it's easy for folks to sit on the sideline and attack what other people are doing. I'm going to just tell you get involved, and I'm going to get off my soapbox before I change into something else. Anyway, we continue to look at growing our Credible Messenger program through partnership with Portsmouth United. We have folks that are going out right now and assisting with Safe Passage, which is allowing our young kids to get on and off the bus safely throughout the course of the school day. Again, just having some visible adult presence in our community. We continue to work with Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority to be able to address some community concerns and working with our schools. We've been partnering with them throughout the year, supporting them in some of the games, working with the Sheriff's Department on some of their initiatives. And of course, we continue to work with our CA with trying to address some of our other challenges as it relates to court processes. So I want to kind of start to wrap this up, but if you have been here for the year, every year I start out with goals for the year. And I want to put those goals out in the atmosphere so that folks can hold me accountable when they get done or don't get done. And so, as you know, we did achieve national accreditation. Not only did we achieve national accreditation, we now have a state certified peer support team for our officers within our police department to strengthen our officer wellness. We also are one of the only communities in the country that has a gun violence dashboard that's actually starting to get some national recognition. And we completed our service level agreement, which we have posted as well. Actually, we're in the process of probably getting ready to revamp it. We started out in progress. We started out with a goal of having a 20% overall reduction in crime. Right now, we stand at 17%. Our homicide reduction is ongoing. Right now, we're just under a 50% reduction in homicides for the year. Again, we continue to work on our partner coordination with repeat offenders, giving them an opportunity to get out of that cycle. And we're also revamping our complete curriculum for training and updates for all ranks in addition to creating a career progression path for succession planning. Obviously, recruitment continues to be a challenge for us. Public safety complex is something that we're continuing to push forward. And the last one I'll end with is our Explorers program. So if you did not know, Portsmouth Police Department does have an Explorers program. We're looking for young people, similar to the Boy Scouts, who have some type of interest or just need something to do. Again, it's we bring them in once a week. We have candid talks with them, but we also teach law enforcement practices so that they understand some of the actions that police officers take. Even if they decide that they don't want to be an officer, at least you end up with a more knowledgeable, well-trained citizen that has some level of understanding of what police do and what they don't do. And that correlates to a better citizen. You might even give them some better grades in their history class. From there, you can translate to our cadet program that we're looking for folks 18 to 20 years old to be able to come into our cadet program. They're not a sworn officer, but they do respond to assist with vehicle crashes. They make over $40,000 as an 18-year-old. And again, these are just opportunities that we're trying to do. But when I talk about the reality of where we are as a police department, I want to be very direct with our challenges. We're allocated right now 257 individuals. Right now I have 158 slots filled. We're allocated 1 chief. I'm still here. We're allocated 6 captains, 3 captains filled. Allocated 16 lieutenants. 9 of those are filled, 22 sergeants, 122 officers. And then we have a number, when you look at it where it says 21 out of the 23 filled for our trainees, think in terms of this. Those individuals, even though they count towards our numbers, if it went down, we could not deploy them because they're not trained. Okay, they haven't graduated from an academy. They're not in any level of deployment. That's our reality. Here's the other part of our reality. The folks that put on this uniform right now are still committed, and they're out there kicking it every single day. And I think that needs to be highlighted as well, because they continue to show up every single day, committed to not only safeguarding the city, but also committed to making this department better. And I challenge them every single day with that. So this is the QR code for a copy of this presentation. If you would like it, you go on and sign up for it. If you like, I can go back to the other QR code if you didn't get it for the ceasefire report. But right now, I'll go ahead and take questions if anyone has any. Hey, ma'am, how you doing?
The QR codes that are in the stores
Yes, ma'am.
around the corner from
Yep.
what do they mean and what do they do?
Okay.
So, my second question
Okay.
is, does Food Fund, Farm Fresh, those places have the same QR code that, I don't want to call them the hole-in-the-wall stores, but they the hole-in-the-wall stores. The same QR code in Food Fund that's in the store around the corner from me. I'm trying to figure out what the QR code is for.
Okay. So the QR codes was the birth child of Lieutenant Kevin Parker. It was actually his capstone project for his time at the University of Chicago. The QR code is designed with the intent that officers are to go into those businesses on a daily basis, scan the QR code, and it is meant to ensure that we are going to those places, but also having dialogue with the folks that are in those businesses. When it was first instituted, it was put into the businesses that we were having the most challenges with. And so we actually pulled the data, put them into those particular businesses. And again, it's funny because we just actually talked about that because we know we're entering what we call robbery season. But also, we also are aware that nationally there's a lot going on, and we're going to probably have some folks turn into some desperate measures, and we want to do what we can to hopefully deter that. So that's how those codes got in there. Now, we have had folks, once they've heard about it, even contact us from other cities to figure out how they could get it in their city. And you know, again, that's a conversation I'll be happy to pass on to Lieutenant Parker back there for you to have, because I think it would be a good initiative to get in as many stores as we can get.
Hello, I wanted to know what the program that you just mentioned for the youth, you said they start off with $40,000. Does it have benefits as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's our cadet program. As a matter of fact, I know we have one opening right now. We have 2 of our cadets that are getting ready to age out, and they're going into the academy in January. So we'll have at least three slots open. So if you're interested, we'll definitely get you some information on that. But again, that information also not only is on our site, but will be on the city's employment site as well. Anybody else? All right, I like this crowd.
Hold on a minute.
You thinking? All right, I'm going to close out in the essence of time so folks can get in. I know the weather's bad. What I do want to say is I'm encouraged. I want to continue to ask you all to be engaged with what we're doing. Can I announce it now? Are we ready? Okay, so with me we have our new Chief of District 3, our probation and parole chief. Please stand up. Looking forward to working with her as we continue to, try to do what we can do to our part. The last thing I will say is one of the other tasks that will be coming forth, and I know we've said it quite a bit, we're building out a robust citywide volunteer program. There, along with everything else, but there's a time frame that has to be done for that's been implemented by the manager. And so anybody that has any ideas or looking to help out with that, please make sure you reach out to us. I'm not sure where it will live 100%, but the part for within the police department will live with us, okay? So again, thank you all. Have a good evening. As always, if anything I can help you with, please call Lieutenant Parker.